Yeah, I mean, obviously there's great excitement. I think Georgia's playing very well right now. Very fast-paced, very athletic. Play a lot of different guys. It's a style of play that I think suits them very well, and will pose a lot of different problems to us. And we're going to have to play extremely well. And one time a year you get to, play the Georgia Tech-Georgia game, and there's a lot of excitement around it.
Is it weird to have it so early? I know it's not conference, so you have to make adjustments there. But
The non-conference scheduling nowadays has changed so dramatically. One, because of the 18-game league schedule. Two, because the season starts so much earlier, and every team is playing in some type of exempt event where you play 3 or 4 games. So now you have a little less time to fit in all the games. Mark and I tried to figure out a time to play it later. There just wasn't. With our finals and their finals and the way the holidays fell, this was the only time that we could fit it in. I think both would like to play it a little later, but you have to play the game when the schedule allows it.
How much would it mean to your seniors who a couple of years ago they lost by a point here, but then during your time here they won 2-0? How much would it mean to them to go out with a winning record against these guys?
Well, I think it's important to our guys. I think that's one of the things that we've tried to emphasize in terms of the importance of this game. And when you start preparing, you talk about all the things that you want to try to accomplish during the game. And then after that, all you do is concentrate on how you're going to get that done. And so where the result would be tremendous, and I think our guys would feel great about themselves and so forth, we need to focus on the things that will help us get those results.
Coach, not only is it, a big rivalry game, but you got kids on Georgia's team like Mann, Gaines, Thornton, guys that your guys have played against quite a bit, going up through junior high, high school, and so forth. So that's a little extra also.
Well, that's one of the things that makes the state rivalry games so good, because everybody knows each other. They've played against each other since they were 6, 7, 8 years old. So there's the pride factor of Georgia Tech versus Georgia, but there's also the individual pride of these guys have played against and with each other quite a bit. At any time on the court, there could be 4 or 5 guys that all played in the same AAU program together and are good friends. And I think the one thing that I've tried to stress is that I want Georgia basketball, in terms of the state and the state schools, to be very, very successful. And one time a year, we don't like each other. And for 40 minutes, you compete your hardest. I think our guys understand that.
Carol mentioned how early in the season these games always come. With all due respect to Presbyterian and Del State, I imagine it's not that difficult to keep the tension of your guys as you approach this game every year.
Well, the thing that we've really focused on is every single day, emphasizing the areas we need to improve on, emphasizing the areas that we need to stay strong in. And then, you get the opportunity once or twice or 3 times a week for 40 minutes to put on a uniform and show exactly where you've gotten to. There should not be any issue regarding concentration or focus at this time of the year. There still should be a lot of excitement, and I think you'll see that on Friday night.
I think when Hewitt was here, he emphasized Georgia, recruiting, and you've taken it even maybe to the next step. Today was a good example. What is it about wanting to own the state in terms of recruiting? Well,
the one thing that you want to make sure that you do is you make Georgia Tech a viable option for the best players in the state. Those who fit the profile, not only needs that we have on the court, but also guys that understand the value of what this degree will do for them down the road when they're done playing. I think we've done a good job of highlighting those players that fit that unique combination. Within the state, there is a lot of high-quality players. All you have to do is look around the college basketball landscape, and you see them all over. I think that's great for the state, and we want to make sure that we're in the mix for those players as well. The one thing I've been very impressed with in now 2.5 seasons is the development of the players within the high school systems. The emphasis early on, not only on the players developing as players, but also making sure that the academic side of things are in order. I think the schools do a really good job of that. In addition, in the spring and summer, the AAU programs throughout the state play at the highest level and are coached by coaches, guys that know the game. And so really these players from the state are getting 12 months of really high caliber instruction day in and day out. And for the most part, that's why you've seen the success that players all over the country have had that started off right here in Georgia.
Yeah, this used to be a football state.
It's still a football state. I mean, don't worry, they still produce some pretty darn good football players too. But I think there's an emphasis on making sure that both ends of the spectrum, the athletic side and the academic side, is taken care of, and that guys are well prepared for that transition into college. I think maybe that's the greatest compliment you can pay to the state of Georgia, their education system, the coaches, in both basketball and football, that those guys, when they go to college, are well prepared.
So that being said, does that make this game Friday a recruiting piece?
You know, everybody always talks about that. You know, I think kids are more interested in where they fit in a program, the personal relationship they have with the coaches and the coaching staff and the players on the team. I think, guys, I think we maybe discredit the thought process of recruits if we say one game will make a difference. You know what I mean? And so I think it's important, more for what we talked about earlier, maybe just for bragging rights, but very rarely does a recruit make a decision on one 40-minute game.
Two times you've seen them, you know, and seeing how Mark runs things, what do you think are some keys to trying to stop them?
Well, you know, the one thing, you know, he's got a young team like us, you know, and so he's had to, you know, build it back up, and I think you're starting to see that right now in terms of playing at a faster pace, different things like that. I have all the respect in the world for Mark. I think he's a great coach. I think he's done a tremendous job there, and obviously he had great success at his stop at Nevada as well. They're hard-nosed defensively. They're hard to score against. They're great on the glass. And so, you know, those are two areas that are obviously near and dear to my heart. You know, so I have even more respect because I know how hard it is to get kids to play really good team defense and to have them play with the effort and intensity to rebound the ball the way they do. And so, you know, there's a lot of similarities because I think, you know, back, if you look at his lineage of coaching, there's a connection to Mike Montgomery, and Mike Montgomery, there's a lineage to Judd Heathcote, and so there's some similarities between the two, and just, you know, I think guys that really are in it for the right reasons, and so I think you see the kids play that way.
When you look at the limited stats you have so far this year for Georgia, you see three guys at the top of the stats for all the various categories. You know, you have Kenny Gaines, Jurisic, and you also have Williams. They're rebounding, they're scoring.
Yeah, and Mann is a leading scorer too, tied for the leading scorer.
So I mean, when you have a guard like Kenny Gaines, who's not only is he scoring, taking a lot of shots, but rebounding, that's a guy you really have to keep track of.
Well, I think those two guards, the sophomores, have made a big jump in their game with Mann and Gaines. Superior athletes. And as I said, some of their stats will be skewed because they're playing 12 guys. And so, you know, one of their things that they're trying to do is, you know, wear people down a little bit with bodies out there. But obviously, I as a player, I think Kenny Gaines is an exceptional player. We recruited and you know, felt that he was going to have a really good college career because he's athletic, he's explosive, he can shoot the ball, he's great in the open court. And the one thing, you know, he played at a smaller school, so he got to play a lot of different positions. He's a tremendous rebounding guard.
Do you guys end up recruiting a lot of the same guys, or do you think it's just across just a couple here and there?
No, I mean, I think there's a lot of cross matches in the recruiting. You know, because I think both of us understand that the high caliber players that are in the state, so you want to control the state. You know, there's a theory out there. If we get, out of the top 5 or 6, if we get 3, they get 3, we're both going to be pretty good. You know, and so I think there's a lot, and again, we're in different spots in our programs in terms of the recruiting, so you sell some different things.
Brian, coming off these 2 games, Presbyterian and Delaware State, I'm going to guess, correct me if I'm wrong, that to a great degree you go in and you say, let's focus on doing what we do. When you step up in competition like that, do you pay any more attention to what it is your opponent wants to do and spend more time trying to counter what they're going to do or attack specifically the way they defend, or is it again all about just do what we do even though the opponent's different?
Well, I think whenever, I'm a big preparation guy, and I think our program has started to really understand that and buy into it. Now, part of your preparation is on your opponent in terms of what you need to do to get them out of rhythm offensively, what you need to do to attack them on their defensive end. So you have to pay attention to what they're doing and so forth. At the same time, you never want to lose sight that the most important team is your team. And that's one of the things with the early season games. We are still working on stuff that is related to only Georgia Tech in terms of our development as a team. But whenever you play another opponent and you're looking at them, you want to make sure, maybe more in broad strokes, okay, these are 3 or 4 keys that we have to make sure we take care of against this certain team. And a lot of times those really run, parallel to what we're trying to do anyway. So as you continue to move forward, a lot of the emphasis on preparation also emphasizes the things you need to get better at.
After that game Monday, you watch film, you go over it with the guys. What are 2 teaching points that were most prominent coming out of that you want to move forward with?
Well, I think the 2 biggest ones was after 16 minutes, we had played extremely well. Our defense was guarding the dribble penetration. We were there to help our teammates. We were playing very good team defense, rebounding the ball exceptionally well. We lost a little bit in the last 4 minutes of the first half, got it back a little bit in the first 3 minutes, and then unfortunately didn't finish it off the right way. And that was the biggest disappointing factor in that game for me. And so I think that's something our guys need to see. The other thing was, we always want to dictate what we're doing. And because of them slowing the game down and lowering the number of possessions in the game, I think we got out of sorts at time. More so on the defensive end. We were actually better offensively in the second half than in the first half. Scored more points, shot the ball better, same type of assists in terms of total. So I think that's something that we need to get better at. There's a maturity factor in games that you need to make sure that you're continually seeing an increase in. And I thought that we didn't show that in the last 24 minutes of that game.